I'm Isabel Stainsby, and I'm reading from An Eagle on Their Backs by Iva Pekárková. Olina. Now they are hers, and they will be saved. They did it. They kicked their habit. She'd been drowning and gasping for breath for so long until she surfaced like a fish, maybe a trout or a pike, or like a heron, and tore herself free from that muddy water in which she felt so good, because it wasn't clear. And finally she took a breath. After 10, 15, 18 years. She'd be able to count them herself now, although Lumia did it for her on that occasion. She was 33, Christ's age, the age at which Jesus was nailed to the cross. He died, and 3 days later rose from the dead. The stone had been rolled away. Olina had been nailed to a cross too, and she was dying painfully. It took a week, a fortnight, 2 weeks, 2 months. But finally she recovered and surfaced from the water. She didn't see anything nice when she did, though even Jesus had a hole in his side. And she had regular dentist appointments for 6 months, and she was lucky. They got her full benefits. So every week she got £109.56. It all went into her account, and she didn't even have to pay the dentist. She now had a toothpaste ad smile, exactly as they promised her. When they'd asked her what colour she wanted, she'd chosen the whitest. She had the brightest smile the dentist could provide, spoiled only by her top right canine. They wouldn't take it out, even though she begged them to, because apparently they don't extract healthy teeth. It's contrary to medical ethics, and the benefits office won't stump up for it. It was brown and orange at the root. But so what? Not everyone has toothpaste ad teeth. She had her hair dyed, and the hairdresser cut it so the bald patch on her temple was almost invisible. Only one thing tormented her. She complained to the doctor that she'd been sterilated after giving birth, that they often did that to women in the Czech Republic when they didn't want them to sprog again, and that she'd like to have the operation to reverse it. She needed children, she loved children, and she hasn't got any. But they told her that she needed to see a private doctor for that, because they couldn't do it on the national health. Nicola advised her to pray. She herself had prayed the whole time to have sons, only sons. And you know what? She had 3 sons. God didn't afflict her with a daughter. She got a rosary for Olina, beads on a string with a cross, and told her about Jesus, the Saviour. And she, Nicola, will never understand how she could live in so much clutter, in such a stench. She's a woman, after all. When would she finally chuck out the crap that Hinek's always hoarding here? And most of all, when is she going to get rid of the horrors in that corner? What else does she, Nicola, need to tell her? Does she really have to ask her nicely to do it at long last? But she'll see. One day she'll just come with gloves and a bucket and pliers, and she'll tear everything off the wall. She'd have done it a long time ago if she weren't so squeamish. It gives her, Nicola, such bad dreams. But Ola couldn't help herself. She had to rescue them. She had to save them. Once she'd caught a small grey mouse. She hadn't even been trying to, but the mouse ran onto her hand when she was just lighting a candle. It was fluffy, it was warm and cute, and it reminded her of a little girl who got taken away from them. Olina really wanted to be friends with it, to look into those shining black eyes, to keep it forever. But the mouse ran away. Ola always caught it, but whenever she wanted to chat to it, the mouse slipped out of her hand and was gone. It was her baby, hers and Hinek's. It couldn't be afraid of her, could it? She scattered a handful of crumbs from dinner by the hole in the wall that the mouse always vanished into. And she caught it. Now it was hers. She never let it go again. She grasped it in her hand and felt the stirrings of maternity in her lower belly. The mouse was such a fragile little thing. And she nailed the mouse to the wall. She toiled over that for at least half an hour. The nails were really big, and she didn't have a hammer and had to use a scrap of concrete she found in a corner of the yard. She couldn't hit the nail right into the tail, and Mouse, all the name she needed, cried quietly, cheep like a little bird. But Ola didn't give up and managed it. Mouse hung, nailed up by her tail. She waved her little legs a bit, and then she was happy. She fell asleep. Ola pushed a real wax candle towards her. They made them here from paraffin with pretty colours, so it was nice and warm for her. The flickering flame lulled her. Mouse was hers, and hers alone. It was only a few days later that she remembered to turn Mouse around and nail her to the wall as if to a cross. She had to crucify her so she could rise from the dead, really rise from the dead. the stone at the entrance would be rolled away. But when she touched her, she was disgusting, all sticky and slimy. So Ola immediately let her go and shuddered. Mouse was no longer her child. She needed to catch another. In the corner behind the bunk bed, while Ola lit candles every night, the number of furry children increased. She caught another 2 or 3 small mice, 1 large brown mouse, 1 huge, almost white mouse that bit her, and Hinnock said, "I never thought there'd be rats in London." A squirrel that crept in and panicked. It played merry hell with them, jumping over shelves like crazy and knocking everything onto the floor. And a bat she found on the ground. It was lying on its back, not moving, but that made it all the more fascinating to crucify. The membranes of the wings were like a robe, or Jesus' shroud. They spread out above them and protected them all. How could she clear them away? They were her babies.